Welcome back to the Dry Fire Journal. This is day 328. Cert gun here today, and this might be a lengthy one. I just had an experience on a range this morning that might have absolutely deconstructed everything I've known about grip, recoil mechanics, and shooting accurately at speed. Here's what I have taught for a number of years. That as you spend your round and, in the chamber, you've got like 32 to 34,000 PSI as you ignite the primer on your 9mm, assuming 9mm. Bullet comes out with a whole lot of pressure. The slide is already starting to reciprocate, so there's pressure coming out up top. And the barrel is hinging on the locking block, and all the pressure goes this way, and therefore the gun is going to rotate like this in recoil. And in order to mitigate that recoil, we want to put an ample amount of pinky and ring finger pressure here. The idea being that if I put all this pressure here, assuming that I have a good, grip of the gun, and I'm putting pinky and ring finger pressure here, then I'm going to mitigate the effect of this because I am controlling it right here. Today I had the opportunity to spend a few hours on a range with a guy who wants to remain anonymous. He's been gunsmithing for competitive shooters for decades and has been shooting for decades and shooting at a very high level, like Grandmaster level, for a while. And I got to spend some time with him comparing our methodologies on grip. And I told him, here's what I do, and I showed him this. And he saw the pinkies, and he immediately said, oh, no, don't do that. And I was like, wait a minute, that's like the core of what I teach. And he goes, yeah, don't do that. And so right away, I was running splits in the 17 to 20 range with, we did a 6-round, an 8-round, and a 10-round. And they were in the, overall, my splits were averaging between 17 and 21. At that pace, we were at 10 yards, and my groupings were about the size of my hand. That's running the gun just absolute as fast as I can press the trigger. Knowing that I was doing, multiple strings and there's some fatigue and all that stuff, but my group was about this. Then he had me change my grip, handed me a gun I was completely unfamiliar with, a 1911 chambered in .40 caliber. That's not like a special tricked out race gun, just a 1911 that's chambered in .40. And I don't shoot 1911s like ever, and unfamiliar with the grip angle, and it was an iron-sighted gun and without a red dot. So many differences, and he tweaked my grip, and he said, what I want you to do is put the front sight on this little paster that we put on a cardboard target, and I want you to run the trigger as fast as you can. And that magazine held, I believe, 8 rounds, maybe 9, 8 or 9 rounds, I'm not sure. I did 3 mag dumps, and I don't mean like controlling pairs. I'm talking like scalded ape mag dumps. I did 3 mag dumps at 10 yards in 3 different spots on the target. And every single one of those groupings with a .40, with a 1911, were about the size of a $50. I mean, just dumb. And what's crazy is that iron-sighted 1911, I was able to watch the sight settle. Not just come back, but settle. Here's what I've learned. I'm going to tell you more about the grip as the days go on. But here's what I learned about myself today, and I invite you to be curious about it. Using iron sights or using a dot, I have come to accept a streak. And here's what that streak has been doing. In recoil, my gun has been cycling, coming back, dropping, and then coming back up. Because I am putting so much pressure here that as I run the trigger, the gun cycles, dips, and comes back. And that feels, emphasize the word feel, that feels like it's running flat. When we slow mode me shooting my 226, the gun I've shot the most over the course of my lifetime, when I ran my 226 with my standard grip up high, thumb, pinkies, all that stuff, my front sight in slow-mo was doing this. And it was waving at the target. And my shots that were spreading out the size of my hand were all low. And this is just at 10 yards. So after I fixed my grip, after I had my grip tweaked for me, I was able to watch my front sight literally rise up maybe to here, maybe this far. And that was with a 40 caliber on a 1911. Did I become a 40 caliber convert? No. Did I become a 1911 convert? Maybe. We wound up running Alice, the Mark 23. We ran a Glock 21 in 45 ACP. We ran my SIG 226. We ran a Smith & Wesson Shield in 40. And just to prove the concept, and with that Smith & Wesson Shield, like my least favorite gun, chambered in 40, just like vomit. I hate that gun. I was able to watch the sight snap right back on target and put groups like this at 10 yards at speed. So before I reveal the grip stuff, which I'll start doing tomorrow, I want to tell you that what made this happen was that I was curious, and so was this friend of mine. He was willing to try on everything about my grip methodology, and he ran the gun beautifully. But when we slow-moed it, we found his gun was doing this, like dipping with each shot. Then I tried his methodology, and I went from dipping my gun to having my gun recoil just about this much. What made this happen was being curious. And I had to set aside what I have learned from virtually every good, reputable shooting class that I've been to. I had to divorce myself from what I have taught for years and what I thought was the best based on what I understood about how a gun recoils. And I guess my point here is, don't ever let yourself settle and assume that you know how this works. Yeah, guns don't change that much, and they don't, they work the way they work. But really standing there on a range, listening to a very experienced gunsmith and GM shooter explain how guns work, and have him bring up things that I did not think were relevant, but have him express them as really key and fundamental. I was pretty impressed. So I told you this is gonna be a long one. I told you I was gonna ramble. But now on September 18th at 10:39 in the morning, I'm standing here questioning how to move forward. How do I move forward for me as a shooter? And how do I move forward as an instructor? Knowing that perhaps, just perhaps, what I have been teaching all this time is a great way, we've proven it thousands of times, is a great way to help people get better faster, but might not be the optimal way. So, if you're still watching this, thanks for being curious with me. And tomorrow I'm going to start showing you some different ways to grip your gun that you might find advantageous for you. So, thanks for hanging with me in this experience and this experiment. This whole dry fire journal, we're almost at a year. I can't think of all the number of things I've changed. Guns, stances, dots, ways I've pressed trigger, ways I've gripped the gun, the ratio of strong hand to support hand. Good grief. I've changed a lot of things because I'm trying to experiment my way to finding my best path. And I feel like this morning, in a few hours, I made a gigantic leap. So hang in with me. There's some cool stuff coming up. I'll see you tomorrow.